All right, welcome back to the hub. Shawn, thanks for coming on. Shawn, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Really appreciate it. So you and I met in the MBA program. Shawn Watkins. Uh,
We went to Europe together last year,
worked
helped spread
together.
the
I
coronavirus.
was like, trying to decide how do I introduce myself to you because like we already know each other. But I guess this
Yeah,
is whoever's listening. So Shawn Watkins. I'm originally from Idaho. Actually, prior to the MBA program, I worked at a company called Proofpoint. It's a cybersecurity company. And now I am starting up Taabl. So super excited about that. Actually started that while we were in the program together. And I can tell you all about kind of how we got started, where the idea came from, and all of that. But yeah, I
yeah.
mean that's
Thanks
me.
for thanks for coming on. Why don't you give us like the 30-second overview of what Taabl is? Because you're the startup, you're the founder. You're starting this baby from scratch, and you're the CEO. So yeah, just give us like a high level overview, like what problem is Taabl solving?
So Taabl is solving the problem of employee stock purchase plan contributions. So currently, uh, ESPPs for short are underprescribed. So we're looking at about a 30% participation rate in these plans nationwide. Now the problem with uh, these plans are great, honestly. Like they're super good, and I can kind of explain how they work, or at least for people listening, explain how these plans work and why they're so good. But the general idea, the general problem behind this is that people have benefits that are offered to them that they're not able to contribute in, right? And so I think that's actually one of the things that goes into this whole conversation in the country right now about income inequality.
Yeah.
Um, and wealth inequality, right? Is that just the rich are able to continue to get richer because they have the money that it takes to get richer. And this is a perfect example of that.
They have
Where
the assets that earn money on the side where they don't have to
exactly,
work, whereas a lot of other people, like, they have to put in the hours to get paid, and rich
yeah,
people have their money working for them.
yeah, exactly. So we address that issue to help people actually contribute to their employee stock purchase plan if they don't have the money to do so on their own, and the education issue just to help them understand how it works, what it's all about,
Yeah.
and why they want to participate in it, why they care. Um, and so that's something that I guess that's something that we have really done a lot of research in, I guess, and have gone out and talked to a lot of industry experts. We have the lending portion, but we also have a software portion that we're working on as well. We have it ready to be sent out to the market now. We actually just finished our software, our MVP, earlier this month, and so really excited to get that in the market and have a couple of customers lined up. So no active customers yet, but
You're about ready to start.
coming up very soon. Yeah.
Just for in case people don't know, MVP, minimum viable product. It's just like, yeah, getting it out there. And I'm assuming the software kind of looks at employee stock purchase like plan, like the agreement, analyzes it, summarizes it for employees, and tells them like
Yeah.
how it works, kind of thing.
Yeah. So it's actually kind of a two-part thing. One is for the employee to basically do what you just said. It's educating them on the plan, and
Okay.
it's giving them a dashboard to like be able to view what's happening, right? And so if you've ever participated in one of these types of plans, it's
Yeah, they're
hard
great.
to know where your money's going and how much you're expecting to receive back, and it's all very like opaque. And so it's like we are creating this dashboard to be able to give them a very clear picture of like, okay, you're putting in X dollars and you're expected to get back Y dollars based on the discount rate that you receive on the plan, right?
Right. Right.
And so And if they receive back more than that because of the growth in the stock and their look back provisions, which I can explain all of those terms, then that's great, right? But we want to give them at least an idea of what to expect and let them look back historically and say, oh, I've like made this much money on this plan. This is great.
Yeah.
It's such a good plan that we want to be able to illustrate it for people and make it really easy for them to see the benefit that they're actually receiving.
Yeah, that is great, because I the one of the employee stock purchase plans that I was a part of, actually the only one, before I went to my MBA program, was great. It was the company I was working at, FIS, and it's how I actually paid for my grad school, that and scholarship, and
Yeah.
uh, is fantastic. But I was always like, wait, when does this stock vest? Like, how much does it? How much can I like pull out right now? Like, so a little bit more transparency would have been helpful. Uh, yeah, throughout that whole process. But
Yeah.
these plans are really great. So
And
great way to create wealth.
yeah, absolutely. The other part of the software is to actually help the plan administrators. So there's a lot of changes in these plans that people make in their contributions. So an employee might withdraw from the plan, an employee might get fired or quit the company. Another employee might want to increase their contribution at the next open enrollment. Another employee would decrease, right? And so there's a lot of different changes, and the administrators have to account for all of these changes. And so we are building the software to automate all of the accounting and payroll type of activity that they need to keep track of, just throughout the administration of the plan. Because right now it's like they have some software to help people sign up, and all of that, but basically that software just generates a report, right?
Mhm.
And then they'll take that report, they'll dump it into like an Excel file or something like that, and
And then try and figure out
yeah,
taxes,
yeah,
all that
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. And so we're just going to automate all of that.
Oh, that is great. Well, it's a good idea to actually have a software that also helps the employee as well, especially the administration as well.
Yeah.
What about the lending piece? Can you talk a little bit how that works? Are you like,
Yeah,
do you have a bank backstopping you? Do you have like who's providing the funds, and how does that work?
sure. Yeah. Let me explain the ESPP first. So just how it works in general. So an employee stock purchase plan right now, it functions such as if an employee goes in and signs up, they can sign up for a certain amount of a contribution to put in, right? And so it might be $25,000 a year, I think is a lot of uh, the max contribution amount for some companies. There's some local companies here. Let's take Adobe. That's a national company. So they can put in $25,000 a year. Now they get a 15% discount on any stock that they purchase.
Right.
So really what they can do is put in the 25,000 and then they'll get back, whatever 15% over that 25,000 is. So there's always that amount that they're going to make back, right?
Right.
So if we use like basic terms, if they put in $100, they'll get 115 back,
Right.
right? Something like that. Now what we're doing is people who don't have the $100 to put in, we'll go ahead and put that in on their behalf, right? And so we can actually invest that $100, and then instead of them making 15 back, they'll make maybe 10 or 12 back, and we'll take $3 to $5, right?
Okay.
Just for putting up the upfront capital. But what this allows the employee to do is actually gain still thousands of dollars worth of stock
Yep.
in the company that they work for without the upfront cost. So even though we're selling, you take this to a scale, we're selling our portion immediately when we get it back. So we're actually making a profit there. The employee can hang on to that stock if they want to see it grow. Say you're at Adobe and their stock is doing really, really well, then they might want to hang on to it because that stock could be worth more tomorrow than it is today. But say they need the money and they're kind of strapped for cash and mom has soccer practice to pay for,
Right.
so she sells her stock and is able to recoup that proceed basically as a cash bonus just for being able to participate in the plan. So really, really good plan for them. So yeah, we're allowing them to sign up just to be able to participate through us. You asked about backing. So we're working with a couple of different types of funds right now, and we're trying to figure out the backing portion of this. But we have conversations going with banks as well as private funds, and just currently in the negotiating phase of that. Of okay, what are interest rates look like? What do fees look like? Because this is a different type of lending model that's then has been seen before. We can, the problem is like we can actually put these funds in like a lump sum on behalf of these individuals who want to borrow from us, because there's a 3 to 6 month period of when an individual will contribute through their paycheck.
Right.
Now we might be able to contribute with them on that cadence of each paycheck, putting in money for Matt, at company X, but there's other instances where, say, the company doesn't want to account for all of the interest that is accruing just by funds sitting there, and it makes it easier for them just to receive a lump sum. We might just put in a lump sum at the end of that contribution period. So at the end of the 6 months, and we'd put in a lump sum for all of the employees. And then we'd go ahead and be able to turn that around into stock and sell that arbitrage it. Yeah.
So I guess so the bank or whoever is backing you, you would have to pay interest on the money that you borrow from them.
Yeah.
But then you're getting a little streams of payment every time employees participate, use that money, which you could use to then pay back the bank, basically pay back whoever you're. And then you're just assuming that hopefully you get enough people to participate that you can make money off of the employees who participate in these plans. You can make money by selling your portion of the stock, and that's where you make most of your money, I'm assuming.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So yeah, we're it's kind of a B2B2C sale. So we're going into the company, we're selling them on the software, and then we're going to the employees within the company that we're already in, and we're selling them on the lending, right?
Got it.
So and that's how it works. And we're not, I mean, we may be charging for our software out the gate. We probably won't, just because we don't want to we want to keep down as many walls to entry as possible.
Totally.
But our main profit model is helping out the employees.
Got it. So you keep saying we. Do you have a partner that you are doing this with? If so, how did you find him or her, or was it just or was there someone else at the very beginning when you first? I guess maybe first talk about how you came up with the idea, and then was there someone else involved at the initial stages, or did you try and find a partner who you could work with?
Yeah. So initially, so when I worked at Proofpoint, we had an employee stock purchase plan there, and I thought it was great. Honestly, it was such a good company. And what I noticed there, though, was that a lot of people weren't participating, and I thought that was odd, right? And so when I went to do my MBA, I just had that in the back of my mind, that was weird, type thing. I didn't really think about it, but my brother got a job at Adobe, and he told me, hey, they have this cool benefit, the employee stock purchase plan. I'm like, oh yeah, put as much money as you can into that plan because it's awesome. It's like guaranteed return.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I would, but they allow me to put in up to a quarter of my paycheck or this dollar amount. And he's like, I just don't have that. I just started, and I just don't have that much to allocate to that. I have other expenses. I'm just about to have a baby, all of this stuff. Right. And so he did not max out his contribution. And I'm like, okay, well, he's not maxing out his contribution. I had other people that I worked with at Proofpoint who were not using it at all or not maxing out their contribution. I'm like, that's obviously a problem. Let me go see how many other people are working and dealing with this. And actually, what came to mind was listening to the founder of Lululemon. He started out as men's barbecue baggy short company,
Yeah.
and transitioned to women's yoga attire. And the reason is because he said, he's like, when you see something, the same type of information, like 3 different places from 3 different sources, he's like, that's something that you should look into. And for him, it was yoga. For me, it was ESPPs, right?
Yeah.
And so I went and started doing more research on ESPPs, found out that the participation rate is actually pretty low, and a lot of people just don't really understand them, and a lot of people don't want to put money towards them. And so I'm like, this is such a great benefit. Like, there's something I could do here. There's something, there's a way I can help out these employees who aren't participating. And so that's where the initial idea came from. And that's where some of the, due diligence got started. So I actually started with a fellow MBA student here. I drug him on board, John Doxey. I think you know John.
Yep.
So he was great. Financial mind, that guy's like a genius. So super, super love him. After we got going a little bit, he decided to take a position at another startup. So he actually left fairly early on. He was with me for a couple of months. And I went and recruited the co-founder of Weave, which is a local
Utah
company here in Utah. And so my now wife, then girlfriend, worked at Weave. She worked for the CEO, and she was his assistant. So she knew all of the executives there. I got to know them, for the 2 to 3 years, leading up to that point. And so I got to know this guy a little bit. And my Loren at the time, my girlfriend at the time, she loved working with these guys, right? She's like, they're good guys. She would tell me about them and tell me about, everything that they did. And so I'm like, I already had like this trust going into the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to lunch with him, told him about what I was doing. And this was maybe, 1 or 2 month long courtship. And he's like, listen, I'm in, and so he had left Weave. And so he came on board with me full time. And so that's the kind of the initial stages. Now we have, something like 4 engineers, a product person, a QA, and, we have a few different contracted employees at the moment. And so as soon as we start getting customers on board, we'll ramp up that team as well. So
that's awesome. Well, when I hear Sequoia Capital investing in you guys, then that's not too far around the corner, is what I'm hearing. So have you guys raised any money, or is this just funding right now, out of the own personal bank?
Yeah, no, both, so obviously we put in money, me and my co-founder both put in money, money and time and all of that, but we have raised some money as well. Right. And so being able to just go and pitch this, we've run very lean. And so we've raised as little as possible, but while keeping us afloat and giving us some runway to be able to get the product out and hit the market. So it's kind of that balance there, between having enough to land your first couple customers and not too much.
Yeah, you have some excess weight. You're paying out money that you probably shouldn't be.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have to answer this, but is the funding that you have raised, is it more in the form of notes, or have you given away equity?
So it's a safe note.
Safe note.
We actually raised on a safe note. Yeah, which for your listeners is a simple agreement for future equity.
Yep.
So because we weren't valued at the time and we're not valued now, it's hard to like say how much we would be worth. But yeah, we did raise on a safe note, and we have fairly favorable terms with that, about future valuation. And so we're looking to definitely reach, as high of a valuation as we can before we have to raise again.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, safe notes are they're great. They kind of the most contentious issue, I guess, when you're raising funds or raising money is valuation and control, and it kind of kicks the valuation question just down the road to when you're really raising funds and you're saying like,
Yeah.
okay, like right now, let's just lend me some money, and then when we really raise, like, then we'll do we'll really figure out what valuation is. So it kind of helps you guys get going before any stumbling blocks out of the gate, I guess, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So kind of I guess kind of wrapping up here, what has been the biggest challenge for you so far? Like what's been the thing that's been kind of like like um how do I want to say this? I don't want to say like the biggest hurdle, but like for other people who might be doing a startup or wanting to start something new, like when you're in these early stages, you don't have any customers yet. What's kind of like what's the thing you have to keep like pushing through, keep fighting, and realize like, hey, like once we get through this, like things will be different. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, right now it's customer acquisition, and so it's like that first customer is probably the biggest challenge, and because you have to understand the market that we're going after is public companies,
Yeah.
right? These are highly regulated industries. I've talked to, I don't know, hundreds of attorneys at this point, and just making sure that we're complying with all the regulations, that we're, just within on a state by state basis as well as a national basis. You have some various things that you have to be careful of. Our security compliance with our software,
Yep.
all of that. And so there's a difference between going after a small business as a customer or an individual as a customer and a public entity and all of the employees in the public entity,
Yeah.
and trying to go after all of them because these guys are they're under the
Like,
public and government eye, of like, how are you operating, what are all of the audits that we're going to put on your plate, and so any software and any vendor that they bring in has to be like running at 100%. They don't have time for us to try to play catch up. And so that's one of the hard parts there, is just our customer is big.
there's not a lot of margin for error. Like,
Right.
you can't employers aren't going to be happy with the software that, hey, you messed up our employee stock purchase plan and now our employees are pissed, and the IRS is coming after you, the SEC. Yeah, there's really not much margin for error.
No, there's not. And especially dealing with finances and dealing with lending to employees, like, okay,
Yeah.
what's the risk there, for us versus the company, and the company allowing us to lend to their employees? Like, there is some inherent risk, but not much, and we have to mitigate that, and we have to know how to mitigate that, and so that's one of the hard parts, and it's been fun, though, honestly. Like, it's been a lot of fun to figure that out. And we're doing it, we're making it happen, but
Well,
it's a journey for sure. So.
yeah, it's a marathon, not a sprint, basically.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like not even a marathon. It's like there's times when it's like a crawl, a trudge, through,
Yeah.
but I don't know. Like, if you're dealing with the SEC and you're dealing with, auditing firms like KPMG or whatever, it's like, that's not like the fun part of doing a startup, so there's the fun part, and then there's like that part, so,
The necessary part.
yeah.
Well, I think it's a great opportunity. I really do, and it's something that, kind of like you said, like, been maybe overlooked, or like people have just been like, oh yeah, I can't really participate, and it's kind of been a common experience across firms, and no one's really stopped and said, wait, how can we make this better?
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. So kind of last question for you. What's like next big target, next big goal? Is it getting that first customer? And if so, like, should we expect you on the front page news of, Silicon Slopes newsletter, like here in a little bit? Like, what's like next steps for you guys?
Well, I mean, like we have some customers who are looking at us right now. I won't say who they are until they're actually our customers, but yeah, once we get like one, I'm assuming the next one's going to be easier, and then the next one after that will be much easier, than the second. And so we probably will market this, quite a bit. After we land a couple of customers, after we just validate everything, because we're going to learn a ton. When you're in a startup, it's like you have all of these expectations, you have all of these hypotheses, but then when rubber hits the road, it's like, okay, what's going to break? Something's going to break. You just don't know what it is, right? And so you have to kind of prepare yourself, and you're going to learn a lot. But yeah, I mean, that's part of it. And it's getting the customer who's willing to work with you through some of those bumps, but yeah, hopefully you're right. Hopefully you'll see us on the front page of something. Actually, here's another thing, that advice given to me, stay out of the limelight as much as possible, because when it's good, it's really good, but it'll turn on a dime. Right. Yeah. And so
look at Robin Hood, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, well, Shawn, thanks for coming on. Thanks for discussing Taabl. We, like I said, we traveled around Europe, and it was awesome. It was great having you there. It was cool because I remember like we were in London, and you were like, yeah, sorry guys, I got to go like meet with an investor and, pitch him the idea. And I don't know, it was just cool. It's just cool that like you're creating something, and like, I mean, none of us were looking at, talking to investors while in London. We were just eating food, walking around. So,
well, food in Europe is fantastic. So, I mean, we even London, I had some bad food there, but there was some good food too. So
yeah, definitely Paris and Rome were a little bit better than.
We'll have to go on another trip.
Definitely. Well, and congrats again on the like I said, like you mentioned, recently got married. So congrats on that. That's pretty awesome. So, cool. Well, thanks again for coming on, and appreciate you spending some time with us.
Yeah, thank you, Matt.
Yeah, we'll see you.